I am going to read a little bio about you, Dave. I need to change my little. Why can't I find it correct? There we go. There we go. So I'm gonna read a little bio about you, David, and bring you up here. So David Cohen is the founder and CEO of Techstars, which has invested in almost 5,000 startups, 22 unicorns, and has a portfolio with a market cap of about $120 billion. Dave is a mentor to me. He's a sponsor of a lot of things that I do, and he's a good friend. Welcome, David.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I got something for you.
Oh, wow. Too much. That rain? Is that rain? Or
No, that was applause, man. Knock it off. See, he's already starting. So look, man, I am so excited that you wrote the forward to the book. It's really, really good. I'm honored to call you a friend. I always appreciate your insight, your mentorship. And when I told you about this, you were like, first of all, with the Kabila Fund, the Mental Health Fund, you found some coins in the seat cushions from the Techstars Foundation. I didn't know how you did that. That I thought that thing wasn't going anymore. But you're like, yeah, okay. So now we're collaborating with you guys, and we've already been giving mental therapy sessions and grants to Techstars founders who want them but can't afford them. We're going to be leaning in and doing more of that now that we move to a business platform on BetterHelp that allows us to scale up more effectively. I'll talk with you more about that later, David, but I think we're about ready to start doing more and pressing the gas on that. But let's get right into this. I really want to get your thoughts about some of these questions. And if you guys have questions for David, please drop them in. I will do my best to get to them. I'm over here ham and egging and doing all the things, but I will do my best. I promise. So David, like what motivated you as an investor to publicly champion founder mental wellness, and how has your perspective evolved over the years?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to hit that. I first want to say, to you, you say a lot of nice things about me, and you are the epitome of give first, which we talk a lot about.
Oh, man, I
You do so
appreciate
much
that.
for your community, and I think this book is just another example of that. And I feel like I've just played this tiny little part in supporting all the good that you've done. So awesome to hang out with you again. And yeah, in terms of getting involved with mental wellness with founders, I think it's just having so many friends that are founders, right? You could kind of put it in a couple of different buckets in terms of motivation, right? There's the, sort of cold steely argument of, we're investing in startups, and if the founders of those startups are struggling, then the startups are going to struggle, right? They're the single point of failure, for the companies in a lot of cases. And so,
So you're saying it's common sense, is what you're saying, basically?
I think there's an element of that. I think that's one of the
Mhm.
motivations. I think the other one is just on the human level, right? The people, they're suffering, as you talked about, in silence in many cases, and
Yeah.
afraid to be vulnerable because I think people around their startup will interpret that as weakness.
Yeah.
And the problem is that most people around the startup won't interpret it as weakness. They'll interpret it as being human and try to help, right? But it's hard for folks to sort of make it a topic and talk about it and seek help or advice or input. A lot of times it's just having somebody around you that cares, that check in with you and give you a space to talk about it, and try to get you some help through something like what you provide.
I appreciate that. And I mean, honestly, in terms of the give first ethos, like I learned that from you and Brad, and you guys live that all the time. And so you all inspired me to be more that way. And honestly, I wish I met you guys a lot sooner and had been moving through life that way. I feel like I would be a lot further along.
Yeah.
But I made the comment about it being it's common sense, but honestly, so I don't know if you know Alex. Alex used to be a managing editor over at TechCrunch. Do you know Alex? Alex Wilhelm?
I know of him. I don't know him personally.
Yeah, so he actually he's writing about what we're doing his newsletter today. He actually does the This Week in Startups with Jason Calacanis now.
Yeah.
That's kind of his gig now. He was asking me about this, and he said, it's a no brainer, and I'm like, I know you say that, but while I'm doing this work and reaching out to all these people who I think should care about this work, it's a lot of just like meh. So I don't know that. This is my opinion. You tell me if this is like way off base, but I think until somebody can come along and draw a straight line from a research standpoint between founder mental wellness and startup outcomes, I don't think that it's going to get a lot of attention it deserves from the investor community. Like, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think the founder is the asset class, right? I mean, you're investing in startups, like that's the value, right? Is the people that start the companies, and
Yeah.
that is literally what you're investing in. So to me, it's pretty obvious, but yeah,
Yeah.
it never hurts to have some like evidence-based research, but should be confirming something that's pretty straightforward and obvious. So, look, if you invest in somebody, in a startup, and that person, right, their health and ability to focus on it is going to drive whether or not that thing has a shot, right?
1,000%, man. 100%. So how do so from your experience at Techstars and as an investor, like what early signs show that a founder is reaching a breaking point, and what support works best?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess I'd describe it as kind of a fade out. It's something I've noticed in a few cases, like someone who's usually really super on it, super responsive, but they
Mm,
start kind of ghosting a little bit, or maybe
mm,
canceling an update, or something you're expecting isn't coming on time, and that silence is kind of louder than them screaming sometimes, right? Like
mm,
they maybe stop seeing the nuance and stuff. Everything is just good or bad, right?
mm,
um, Getting a bit more cynical,
mhm,
sort of fatalism, like there's no way, we're screwed. It's signs like that. I think what works is just often just listening, right? And in a maybe not so much a business way. I think investors have this habit of like, when you're checking in on the KPIs instead of on the human, right? And
mhm,
sometimes they just need a safe harbor, right? Someone to talk to, and it's okay for them to say, I don't know what I'm doing, or not be afraid of getting fired, right? Just because they're having some struggles. And
mhm.
so I think what works is checking in on them as a person. And I've seen, like, for example, something you mentioned Brad Feld does with me, and I've seen him do in other contexts, is just, yeah, before we get into business, like, how are you? And he doesn't let you just say, yeah, everything's fine, like, let's talk about the business, right? It's like,
Mhm.
asking you specific questions, clearly being, someone who's checking in on you as a person. And so I think that type of support, just normalizing it, giving them a space to talk about it outside the context of normal business stuff, right? More one-on-one. If you're sensing some of that, is a great way to start.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that. And Brad is good like that. And it's interesting. We heard a lot about that from people who contributed chapters in the book. So it's good to know that people are like showing up and asking that question and really meaning it. It's not just a throwaway question, but like, like, how are you? Like when Django popped in there a little while ago, I was like, yo, how are you? Right? What's going on? You good?
Right. But then there's the first, yeah, I'm good. Right. But like, really?
Like we're like, no, really, how are you? Exactly right. So like Khalil pops in, he's like, hey, I just launched a brand a week ago. The pressure's real, right? Yeah, it's real, man, and it's great that people are showing up and be like, yeah, like legit, like how are you? So how do you think the pressure to scale quickly affects founder mental health, and how can investors adjust expectations without sacrificing performance, if at all? I don't even know if this is a possible thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess on some level, like, I always feel like there's a bit of a dichotomy that gets set up, right? It's like, either your health and wellness or growth, right? And, growth at all costs. And I think, kind of shifting that focus from like growth at all costs, or, as fast as possible, to like longevity. If you think about any race, right, it's not just about going as fast as possible, right? Because you burn out and you don't get to the finish line, right? So it's about longevity,
Mm-hmm.
more than just like initial velocity. So, when I'm investing in a startup, I'm assuming I'm in it for at least a 10-year journey. And, somebody doesn't survive year 3 or year 2, they're not going to get to year 10. Right. And so I think we mix those things together. As sort of growth at all cost is kind of the problem in terms of the mentality.
Mm-hmm. So I think it was in Mitch's chapter. Mitch Weiner, who's a Techstars alum, co-founder and CMO of DigitalOcean, which IPO'd, who wrote a chapter in our book. I think Mitch talked about this a lot. It's a marathon because he was saying how he was sprinting like all the time, and it's absolutely unsustainable to sprint all the time. So it's a marathon, and you sprint occasionally. And I like to say having a startup is a marathon of sprints.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the context of Techstars, right? It's like you experienced it. It's this unsustainable 3-month thing. It's total wacky, craziness, right?
Exhausting.
Like you can't run your
so
business
tired.
that way. And I always like to say in the beginning of those programs, like, yeah, this is an unsustainable period, but it's a unique opportunity, and you really need the support of your family and friends during this time. And the encouragement is not that you should always operate like this. It's that you have a unique, sort of moment in time that you can get a lot out of that 90-day period, right? And we try to say that out loud so that people don't say, oh, this is how you're supposed to operate every day.
Yeah. Okay. So everybody out there listening, just drop in the comments. Let us know where you're coming in from. If you have a question for David, like drop it in there. We have a few minutes here. I got a couple more questions, but we can prioritize some of your questions. So David, the one thing I noticed since you took over, how long has it been now? You've been CEO of Techstars?
Well, so the first 14 years or so, and then it was about 4.5 years of being chairman, and I've been back about 1.5 years now.
Okay. So I've noticed it feels like more of an emphasis on like kind of founder first and more of an emphasis on the founder as the customer. And I've been really delighted to see that.
Yeah, again, sounds pretty obvious, right? It's always been obvious to me, and I think there was some drift around that because it's a huge network, right? There's 8,000 mentors. There's billions of dollars of AUM, right? That's being managed. So there's limited partners. There's corporate partners. There's all kinds of constituents in the network, but none of it works without the founders succeeding. That's why we're here, and they are our only customer, right? And so I've
100%.
I've shifted the language back to that, and I think it's landed culturally with everybody. I think everybody in the company wanted to hear that and wanted to feel that, not just as a thing we say, but as a way we behave. So that's felt pretty good.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I can see the difference. As somebody who went through Techstars, I can see the difference, and I think it's awesome. And
Great.
when you took over, I was just excited that you were. And so my next question is, what policies would you like to see become standard inside VC firms and accelerators to better support founder mental wellness?
Yeah, it's a tricky one because, I guess policy is always a tricky one because not everyone wants to do it the same way or sort of be obligated to do something in a way that works for somebody else, right? It may work better to do it your way, but I take it, up a level from policy towards intent, right? And so, this sort of safe harbor human check-in, right? Like, have processes where you just won't talk about the business. You'll only talk about the person. It doesn't have to be, all the time, but if you're not checking in, with the team individually, say once a month, right, during an accelerator, why aren't you, right? Can you spend 15 minutes and just go through a checklist and say, hey, I'm here to check in on you, not the company, right? We can't talk about the company. It's off limits, right? We're here to talk about you. So having a regular check-in that you check off and is on your checklist and you do it, I think is important. And then, talking to them about what we talked about earlier, which is kind of it's not all about velocity. It's about longevity. And, your idea of the marathon and the bunch of sprints that are in it, definitely true. Right. But helping them understand, look, you don't need to feel guilty if you take a vacation and you unplug for a while. Like you should do that. That's part. So, I mean, just sort of putting that stuff forward, telling them that you have in your network lots of resources. If someone does feel like they need some help with something, right? There are lots of founders that have been through this. You are not alone, right? That is a huge phrase that we use at Techstars. You're not the first person that's experiencing this kind of stress or this kind of anxiety, these kind of challenges. And, so I think just having messaging to me and regular dedicated time to focus on the humans rather than the business is the thing that's needed. However you put that into practice, whether it's through policies or just, process.
Yeah, no, I love that. And so I have Bobby Franklin coming through a little bit later. And
Great.
Bobby's the president and CEO of the National Venture Capital Association, which is the lobbyist group in Washington for the VC industry. And it's just really important organization and individual. So I have some questions for him. Is there a question that you maybe want me to ask him about, policy?
I don't know if it's about policy about
anything.
mental health in general.
Just that kind of thing. I know I put you on the spot here, but if there's look, he's probably not going to answer it.
We just did a podcast with him, so we got to ask him all our questions.
Well, that's how I met him, because he was talking to Brad, and Brad introduced me to him.
And he's great. He comes from outside our industry, but he's been in it for a long time, and I think he's asking lots of great questions and pushing a lot of the right things. So I think you'll have a great time talking to him.
I was super excited that he said yes when I asked him to come in and talk about why he thinks the VC industry should support founder mental wellness. It's like, whoa, like if we could get an organization like that behind the endeavor in some capacity, holy cow, how awesome could that be? Could be so great. Rami says, thanks for talking about this. It's really serious. I've been through this. Thanks for coming in, Rami. We appreciate you for hanging out with us, bud. Really do. And so for my final question for you and David is, what is one meaningful change any investor could implement this month that would improve the mental health outcomes of the portfolio founders?
Wow. I would say this 15, 20-minute check-in call, like just explicitly implement that with your portfolio, like no agenda, human check-in, right? The rule is like, we're not allowed to talk about your business, right? Like I just want to set this up to, see how you're doing and check in with you about our personal relationship. You could ask specific questions, right? Like, how are you sleeping these days, right? Like what's on your mind, what's really weighing on you? And they'll try to take it towards the business, right? Say, okay, got it. The business is weighing on you. What else, right? And try to keep it out of that work zone. And what you're doing is you're signaling that you care about more than the business. You care about the human behind the business, right? And I think it's not that call that you do is going to change everything, but it's going to, over time, it's going to create like psychological safety, right? For them to come to you before a crisis hits, rather than after. It's going to allow them to build trust with you because you actually care about them, right? And so when something is going wrong in the future, maybe they do need that help, you're going to be someone they reach out to and you're going to be able to help, versus just, being that business droid that's all they care about.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking the time, David, to come talk with us. I know you're really busy. I haven't been in touch with you as much as I usually am because I know you've been so busy. I've been trying to give you some room to breathe. And,
anytime we got to get the Voxer thing going, keep it old school, right?
Yeah, I sent you a Vox the other day. I don't think you saw, but
I don't check it as often. I only have 3 or 4 people, but it's OG. Yeah,
I sent you an important one, so I need you to check it when you get a chance, because we're gonna probably need to have, not right this second, because I don't want your face to look in your face.
No, right now I'm doing this.
Okay, perfect.
Going to donate a little more. Yeah.
Oh, what are you donating? What are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm just on your QR code.
No, I know. What are you doing? You making a donation?
Yeah, I'll do something again. Yeah, why not?
You want to like do a match for encourage other people to donate? You can match what they donate.
Sure, why not?
All right. How much are you going to donate? Can you tell us? You don't want to tell us?
Oh, I was going to do like a couple $1,000.
How much? 2, 3?
Yeah, 2,000.
All right. So match, donor match.
Yeah.
Right. He's going to match the next
2,000. I'll do 2,000. How's that?
Yeah. If everybody out there listening, if we could get $2,000 going, David Cohen's going to put in $2,000.
There you go.
But hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah. And how about this one?
Wow.
I'm just looking for an excuse to play.
That's a car crash, right?
No, that was an explosion. I'm looking for an excuse.
Now they're after us, you guys.
Oh man.
So Jeffrey says, "Boom, thanks, David." What's up, Jeffrey? You gonna come in? You gonna get into some of that action or not, Jeffrey? Oh, that's not. I'm sorry about that, Jeffrey. I was thinking you were Jeffrey Jabom. Sorry about that, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's gonna be texting me like, "Bro, why you put me on blast?" Because I love you. That's why I put you on blast. Anyway, that's awesome. So David's going to match the next $2,000 if we could get these going. Like, we're looking to raise $80,000 so we could provide mental therapy for another 150 founders. This work is important. David, I appreciate you, man. I love you. Like Jeffrey's laughing. Hey, Django, if you could do me a favor, when these comments come in, if you would just like highlight some of them.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Jeff Johnson says he's putting in $500. Say what now?
Hey, yo, there it is.
Boom. That's what's up. We appreciate that, man. We appreciate y'all. This work matters a lot. So Jeff Johnson's actually coming up next, and he's got this great app called Brighton, which fuses like mental health, financial health, and some other thing in there. I forgot, but it's really, really great. But David, I'm gonna let you roll out, man. I appreciate you. We're gonna keep track of these donations. So we got 500 already. We just need another $1,500 so we can get the 2 stacks from David.
Okay.
We appreciate you, David. I'll talk with you soon, brother. It's so good to see you, man.
Good to see y'all.
All right,
Thanks.
cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye.